Hi there, and welcome to this week's Hockey Inside Out show after the Canadiens clinched a playoff spot for the first time in 4 years Wednesday night with a 4-2 win over the Carolina Hurricanes at the Bell Center. I'm Stu Cannon of the Gazette, and I'm joined by my regular line mates here, former Canadiens teammates, 1986 Stanley Cup champs, Chris Nilan and Rick Green. Well, first off, Knuckles, what were your thoughts when you saw the Canadiens finally clinch a wild card spot? I know you were at the game.
Oh, God, I was so happy. Listen, what they've been through, what this team has endured, you know, and all the ups and downs of this season, especially the way the season started, right? It was horrendous the way the season started. And you looked at where this team was in September, October, November, December. You look at the fact that they couldn't keep the puck out of their own net. They were all confused. And then this team was kind of streaky, right? They go on a streak. We saw it in December. That make-or-break road trip during Christmas. And, man, they come out of it incredible, the job they did. So they started to come together a bit. Then they went into another little funk. And, you know, they seem like just now, what they lose 3 in a row before they finally clinched this game, and it wasn't looking good last night at the beginning of the game. I didn't have a good feeling. And then, man, you know, God bless them for what they did. It was really it was fun to watch, fun to see, you know, them not panic when it got 3-2 and really buckle down. Montembeault made a couple of saves there near the end that really kept them in it. So, yeah, God bless them. I'm happy for all of them. Marty stuck to his guns. And you know, they come down to one. It's crazy. Came down to one game. Good for them. God bless
Rick,
them.
I know sitting in the press box at Bell Center, fans looked nervous. Like even the Go Habs Go chants were like nervous. It's what were you thinking watching? Were you worried after losing 3 previous games that they might?
Well, I mean, if you looked at the way that they were playing, the way Carolina was playing, I was concerned. I was sitting on the end of my seat going, "Oh no, this isn't good." You know, posts, Carolina hitting posts, Montembeault getting, you know, challenged point blank that thank goodness he made the save because otherwise they would have been behind. I mean, second period, they were scrambling like hell. They were completely disorganized and in true fashion of what we've seen, other than the last 3 games, they found a way to, you know, to score at a good time and kind of take some of the pressure off. But, you know, obviously really happy that they got it done. When you look at the team, and Nux touched on it there before, they were 31st in the league the first week in December. And then they just started to piece their way along with different, you know, winning streaks and a little bit more discipline in their play and found a way to, you know, stay in the mix. And but it was nerve testing to see that last night. I just didn't want to see them lose that and you know, become dependent on what Columbus was going to do. But they, you know, you look at the guys, Goulet, a real gamer. Look at this guy. He stepped it up, took control. Suzuki again, Montembeault. I mean, the list goes on. They got a lot of guys that are doing a lot of good things right now. And it's a good situation to be in when you have a lot of guys playing really well. They need to get their rest because the challenges are coming. But really happy to see they got it done, and I'm sure a lot of other people are too.
Yeah, nobody wanted to win that more than Caden Goulet. I mean, the work he did to come back from that lacerated quadricep muscle just to be able to play now. And, you know, Knuckles, the goal going into the season was to be in the mix, right? And they accomplished that. And even if they hadn't made the playoffs, it would have been a successful season. But, you know, I wrote a column this week. They were to come that close and then not get in. How devastating might that have been to this team moving forward in the rebuild? And just how big of a boost is it now that they did? They climbed that hill. It took a while, but they got there. How much of a boost might that give them going into the first round?
Listen, if they didn't make it, I still think they were in the mix. They accomplished what they wanted to do. I don't think it would be devastating to them. They gained some experience by playing those important games, and certainly have to learn from that. But having won now, is it going to give them a big boost moving forward? Listen, for the playoffs, that's it. Because what's going to happen, September's going to come around, and you got 82 games, you got to prove yourself again. So that's a long season, and there's a lot of ups and downs. We saw it this year. But hopefully, after this season, next year they're more consistent, and they don't have as many ups and downs. That being said, listen, going in the playoffs here, I'm sure they're riding a high, and I kind of like it. When I got 3-2 last night, I was like, it was kind of like Rory McIlroy on 18 the first time. I'm thinking, make this putt and finish it, and he didn't. And I'm there, no, don't let this happen to them. And thank God they scored the empty netter. But I just think it's chalked up for experience. I didn't think they were going to make it this year, and it comes down to one game. They were too sporadic in the way they played a lot of times. And for me, the big thing is defensive zone. Boy, they struggled still. They get lost in coverage a lot in this man-on-man. And when teams know how they play like that, they really activate their D-men down low and try and create that confusion, send a forward up high to bring a defenseman with them. I saw a couple times last night. Once last night, Newhook totally just didn't know where to go. He ended up standing next to Matheson and the Carolina forward in front of the net, and his guy swung. He didn't know where he was. He's like, "Oh, help me!" And they end up getting a great scoring chance out of it. But I've seen that so many times, so they have to fix that, because playoff time, man, the intensity ratchets up, and a team like Washington scores 3.5 goals a game. They have some experience there. There's no question. And they're going to try and, pick that the Canadiens' defensive scheme apart in their own end.
Well, Canadiens, that defense, they seem to have that flip-out play they make now when they start scrambling
All teams
in their own
do it.
end. What's that?
Teams do it.
Yeah, just to get it out. But, you mentioned the Capitals. Rick, Capitals finished 20 points ahead of the Canadiens in the standings. They had a plus 59 goal differential, while the Habs were minus 20. Is there any chance the Canadiens pull off an upset against the team you started your NHL career with?
Well, first off, I hate to bring it up, but the prediction of a couple of guys that said that they weren't going to make playoffs versus somebody that said that they were going to sneak in. I won't have to mention any names, but anyways.
Oh, you're a freaking genius.
Thank you. It took you so many years.
31st in the league in December. Come on.
So, the Capitals, really a good year. If you look at the start, they've been there all year, winning, doing a lot of good things, to give them success. They have a good team, but wipe the slate clean. We're now starting the playoff run where anything can happen, and it's better to be the underdog. Washington, the expectation is Washington, because their winning ways are supposed to be the ones to dominate, but that's not necessarily going to be the case. You're going to come in there, you're going to get some guys that are going to elevate their game in the playoffs. They're going to maybe make the difference. We hope that will be the case with the Canadian guys, where I remember in '86, certain guys weren't supposed to do certain things, and they did. And next thing you know, they had the opposition, on the back of their heels. So I like what's going to happen in the future here. I think the Canadiens can make some waves. They're on a pretty good roll right now, and they got a lot of good things happening. So let's hang on and enjoy the ride.
Well, Knuckles, this is similar to 2010, when the Capitals had the best record in the NHL, finished 33 points ahead of the Canadiens in the standings, met them in the first round. Habs won in 7 games, thanks in large part to goalie Yaroslav Halak. Now Sam Montembeault, he hasn't played in the playoffs since 2017 in the Quebec Junior League with Blainville-Boisbriand. Is that a concern for you going into this series?
I'm not concerned, and I'll tell you why. Because again, no matter what happens, they've accomplished what they wanted this year. They're in the playoffs. Hopefully, they do some damage. I'm going to predict right now this year they're going to win the Stanley Cup, just in case they do. So Rick, don't give me shit. But this team against Washington. This is the most dangerous round in the Stanley Cup playoffs. It is so that we see it every year. Someone gets upset. And the Canadiens, again, if Montembeault can close the door and steal a game or two, and this team, man, they've come together. It's just, I worry about their own end of the rink. And that they've been so suspect all year, even though they persevered and got through it. And here they are in the playoffs. That, to me, is the biggest concern. I worry about that. If they played better in their own end, I'd say, man, they got a really good shot at upsetting these guys. And who knows? It could happen, but, boy, they have to really tighten up in their own end. It's worried me all year. It worried me last night. It worried me almost every game I was at. But, crazy stuff happens in the playoffs. It's always a possibility.
Well, Mark Bergevin's line used to be, get in the playoffs and anything can happen. We saw that in 2021 when they went to the Stanley Cup final in that weird COVID year. And I was talking with Josh Anderson the other day, and he said, I've always believed that because he was part of that Columbus team that knocked off Tampa in the first round when Tampa finished with a record 121 points.
Yeah.
So he also
not only knocked them off, they won 4 straight.
That's right. So, so anything can happen. But, Rick, former defenseman, if the Habs want to have any chance, they got to stop Alex Ovechkin, the NHL's all-time goal-scoring leader, 43 goals in 64 games this season at age 39. You've coached the Canadiens defense in the past. You've played defense. What would your game plan be to try and stop this guy?
If you look at the history of success in the playoffs, goaltending. Goaltender, has to be your best player each and every night. And everybody knows Ovi's situation, where he's going to be, what he's going to do. As a defenseman, you obviously have to be aware when he's on the ice and try and, get in his shooting lane and, block some of the shots. But, the overall picture, I think, is collectively they have to be, very, very dependable as a group defensively. And Nux mentioned before about a little bit of a problem with teams that love to cycle with their defensemen, activating into the offensive zone and getting a little chasing, from the defensive part of the Canadiens, and that causes some confusion and draws some penalties. So I'm hoping they're going to settle that down a little bit as far as positioning goes, and try and protect those critical areas. And obviously Ovechkin is a threat, and just try and get the right guys on the ice, especially the defenseman, to eliminate his opportunity to do what he does. And, it'll be a challenge, but they have the guys that I think that are ready to face that challenge.
Knuckles, it's been a long time since there's been so much hype about a player arriving in Montreal like Ivan Demidov. Canadiens fans waiting at the airport in Toronto to greet him, selling tons of Demidov sweaters already around the Bell Center. A couple of games now. What's your first impressions of this?
Yeah, he's an exciting player. He's gonna have a really good career. Just seeing what he did the first game last night, he had some decent opportunities. He gave the puck away to the point there once, that glaring giveaway. But he's a 19-year-old kid. Again, he's got great talent. He's a boy. And he has to get used to all the little nuances that this league has to throw at you. I think he's going to be a superstar in the league someday. But again, it's exciting. It's fun. He's going to be one of them guys you want to go to the game to watch, like Hudson. He does stuff on the ice. When you have those type of players, man, it's so fun to go to the game to watch what they do, to see how creative they are, to see how quick they are, their turns, their ability to hang on to the puck, their ability to see the ice like other guys just can't. So, yeah, I'm excited about him. And, again, go back to Ovechkin just quickly. what do you do with him? We know where he is on the power play, but 5-on-5, you got to pay attention to him too. We don't see the days anymore of like Claude Lemieux following someone around or putting a checking line out there where someone just stays close to him, follows him around the ice, and frustrates the shit out of him all game. I mean, the Canadiens, they want to have a chance. I wouldn't mind seeing a guy like, Jake Evans on the ice all the time with him and assign him to him. It's like, frustrate the shit out of this guy. Be in his face, be in his grill. Because, collectively they struggle, like I said, in their own end at times. And I think the neutral zone is going to be key too. If they can frustrate them through the neutral zone, turn pucks over and go the other way, they can stand a chance. But boy, that's a guy you got to really watch out for.
There was a touching moment after the game last night when Marty St was asked what making the playoffs means to him, and he talked about his dad in Laval, and he talked about his late mom. He got emotional about it a little bit. Rick, you've been an assistant coach. You work with Claude Julien behind the bench. What's impressed you most about the way Marty's handled this team this season?
Well, I think that he's learned what buttons to push and when. I think that he's has a better understanding of what he needs to do to each and every guy to get them to play their very best. I think that he's a guy that is well respected, and the information that he's passed along to the guys has worked, and that's an easier sell than not. And the results speak for themselves. They got themselves going on a hell of a run, and he deserves a lot of credit in organizing and working to try and get a good game each and every night. And we wouldn't say that back in November. We're really concerned about the overall picture of the group, and they have good chemistry. They've got good guys in the dressing room. They got great leadership, and it's coming from the coach right down through. And that's a good situation to have. And let's watch them go and see if they can pull off an upset.
Yeah, Marty, it's funny. I see his dad almost every game I'm there, coming out there.
nice little man.
He is the cutest little guy, right? Yeah. And I just see him, and we talked last night a bit, and he's just a nice man. And, I said, you got to be so proud of your son. He said, I am, and, here's the deal. What I like about it, and Rick touched on it, I think he's really good at dealing with players individually. And collectively, no question about it. But I like the fact that he stayed true to himself, Marty. Because, when everybody, and I remember we were on here saying, I wish he'd get pissed off. I wish he'd, come on, kicked him in the ass when they lost 9-2 to Pittsburgh there, when they got smoked and it looks like they gave up. Like, get pissed off. Marty stayed true to himself. He stayed consistent. And to me, hello, it looks like it's paid off for him, right? And God bless him, because that's not easy with all that outside noise, all that pressure, and everybody, Marty do this, Marty do that, Marty. And Marty stayed true to himself, to his team, to the organization, and he got it done with a great group of young kids, and they're starting to mature. This is part of the maturation process. I love it. I love to see it.
He said after last night's game, too, that the stress was getting to him. And it was a good learning experience for him also as a coach to go through that. Rick, go back to 1986 when you guys won the Cup together. What was the feeling going into that first-round series against the Boston Bruins? Just what was the thinking, emotions leading up to that?
Well, it was the classic, here we go again, Boston, Montreal, right? There was no secrets there. We knew what we were up against, but we had this general feeling when we sat in that room and we looked around and saw the character in the room, very, very positive in the way that we knew what we were going to get from each guy. And there were a lot of guys that were going to pay the price and do what they had to do to find a way to win. And, everybody seemed to step it up in the playoffs, and got pretty excited about the fact that you wanted to experience what a good playoff run is all about. And these kids today that haven't had a chance to see what it's like to play in the playoffs in a city like Montreal with the type of fans that they do have, extremely motivating. And, hopefully they're going to enjoy a good run at it.
I know, Knuckles, back in '86, it was a different world, no cell phones and stuff like that, but the city's going crazy, right? I mean, we saw it last night. It's only going to get bigger and wilder and crazier. What's your best advice to these young players to stay focused?
Yeah, listen, just go play hockey. Play hockey. Play a game. Play, you got to be ready to ratchet it up a notch, and I go back to that, the question before with Greeny. I remember that year. We finished. We had last 10 games. I think we won 4 games. We were terrible. And Big Serge and Ronald Corey came down the room before the playoffs started, and gave an impassioned speech. Mr. Corey really died. I always go back to that because Mr. Corey was really good in what he said, and Serge was too. And boy, it's like it brought us back front and center, and we had great leadership. And like Greeny said, we had a lot of character in the room, and we also had a lot of characters in the room. And it just, man, we took off and gelled. And anyway, but sorry, go back to what was that question?
No, was there something just the feel? Was there something specific Corey said that? Because I've met him a few times. He doesn't seem like the kind of guy who's going to go into a room.
He talked about the importance of being able to wipe the slate clean, have confidence in ourselves. We got a great group of guys, and he was just really good. And I remember it did get everybody kind of refocused, him and Serge, and Serge. Talked a little bit about his experience, and it just got everybody refocused, and off we went. But what I was referring to was before the question you asked me about this team. What do they have to do, basically, in the playoffs? For me, it's just, they got to enjoy it. Go play hockey. And listen, there's going to be pressure. You're going to feel it some. You're going to have the nerves. But once the puck drops, go play. And really – don't leave anything out there on the just spend yourself in a way that when you're done with that game, you're not going, oh, I wish I did this, I wish I did that. Just leave it all out there.
Yeah, just making the playoffs in the 32-team NHL is quite an accomplishment. In year 3 of a rebuild, it's actually quite remarkable. It's going to be interesting to see what these guys can do when they face the Washington Capitals in the first round. Anyway, that's it for this week's Hockey Inside Out show. We'll be back with a new show next week. You can also look for our 3 bonus episodes coming up over the next few days. In the meantime, please make sure you like and subscribe to the Hockey Inside Out YouTube channel. Go to MontrealGazette.com/newsletters to sign up for the Hockey Inside Out newsletter. And of course, go to HockeyInsideOut.com every day during the playoffs, where you'll get all the latest Canadiens news. Also, please leave your comments on the show in the comments section below. We always like to hear from you.